Hello everyone, welcome to our channel. In this video, we will learn how to save items with multiple colors using SwiftData. We will use SwiftUI ColorPicker to select the color and save it. Remember, SwiftData doesn't allow you to persist the color directly, but you can save the RGB values of the color. We will save items into our database, allowing the user to select multiple colors for each item and save them as well. Then we will list the saved items and their corresponding colors in our sample app. Let's get started. First, we will write our item model. Don't forget to import SwiftData here. Our item will have an ID and a name. In the initializer, we will only provide the name of the item. I'll also prepare an empty item, which we will use later in our views. Remember that we want to save multiple colors for each item we have. You may include the color RGB values into the item model, or you can have an individual model for the colors and link colors with items. In this video, I will use the latter approach and write another model called ColorEntity for my project. In this model, we will persist the red, green, blue and opacity values as double for the color. As we already know, we can't save a color directly, but we can compute the color using the RGB values saved in our model. This computed color property will use the RGB values to generate a color for us. We have an item model and the ColorEntity model. We need to create a relationship between the two models. Let's go back to the item model and add a color variable, which will be a list of ColorEntity. Using the relationship macro, we will define a delete rule. This part is important. We need to extract the RGB values from a color. Unfortunately, SwiftUI Color doesn't directly provide access to its red, green, blue and opacity components. To work around this, we will use UIKit's UIColor to extract those values. We'll create an extension for color that exposes its red, green, blue and opacity components. Inside this extension, we will use the getRed method to retrieve the components from the underlying UIColor. This is one of the key parts of the project. We will rely on this color extension to get the precise values from any color the user selects. Let's go back to the main file of the app and pass a model container. We'll create a model container for our models, item and color entity and use it to persist data, so the in-memory option should be set to false. If you want to learn how to configure a model container for your project, including iCloud Sync setup, check out the video linked below. Let me increase the font size so you can follow along more easily. Now we can build our new item view, where the user will enter the item name and pick colors for the item. First, include the model context in the view. We'll use the empty item variable we defined earlier in our model. Additionally, since I plan to present the new item view as a sheet over the content view, we'll need a binding variable to control the sheet's visibility. Fix the preview by passing a constant value to the binding variable. We need another state variable to hold the color selected by the user from the ColorPicker. Let's name this variable selectedColor. Additionally, we need a variable to temporarily hold the colors before inserting them into the database. We will also want to display the selected colors to the user. Using a grid is a good approach for that. To make things easier later, let's define the grid columns in advance. I'll use a NavigationStack as the base of our view. First, we need a text field so users can enter the item name. Next, let's create another section to display the colors the user selects. In this section, we will place SwiftUI's ColorPicker and bind its selection to a selected color variable. Let's wrap these sections in a form to give the layout a more structured appearance. I'll place a button below the ColorPicker. We will use this button to collect multiple colors for the item and temporarily store them in the colors list we defined earlier. When the button is tapped, we will append the selected color to the colors list. If the colors list is not empty, let's display the colors the user has picked so far. We will use a LazyGrid configured with the grid columns we defined earlier to lay out the colors. For each color, we will show a circle filled with the corresponding color. Let's try it out. As you can see, we can now display the colors the user picks for the item. Now let's add a Done button in the top right corner to save the item along with its selected colors. We will place this button inside the toolbar. For each color in the colors list, which we are temporarily holding with a state variable, we will extract the RGB values using the color extension we wrote earlier. Remember, we wrote this extension right here in this file. So, we will set the red value of the new color entity using the red component of the color at hand, the green from the green component, and do the same for blue and opacity. It looks like our color entity expects an ID, but we have already provided an initial value in the model. So let's just remove the ID from the initializer. Okay, we are good to go. We will append the new color entity to the new item's colors variable. We've already collected the item's name earlier, so we are all set. Now we can insert the new item into the database. Then close the sheet. You can also add a navigation title to this view here. Now that we have saved the item along with its colors, let's display them in the content view. To keep things clean and organized, I'll first design a separate view called Item Row View to handle the layout for each individual item. We'll pass an item into Item Row View. Let's define the grid columns for the colors beforehand. I'll use a vertical stack to wrap the item's name and its associated colors vertically. And again, for each color in the item's color array, I'll display it using a circle filled with that color. Our item row layout is ready. Let's query all the items in Content View sorted by their name. We'll also need a state variable to control the presentation of the new item view as a sheet. Inside the navigation stack, we'll place a list to display all the items. For each item in the items list, we'll use Item Row View to display the item along with its colors. You can also add a navigation title here as well. Let's add a plus button in the top right corner to open the new item view as a sheet. Use this presented new item view state variable to control the sheet presentation and pass it into new item view. To test what we have built in the preview, we can use an in-memory model container. Let's try it out. Add several colors for item 1 and click Done to save it. You can add another item with a different set of colors. Both items will now appear in the content view, each showing their associated colors. Remember that we saved the colors in a separate model called ColorEntity. Using a separate model makes it easier to query all the colors independently without their associated items. Let's query all the colors we have saved and display them in a colors list. Just for the demonstration purposes, I'll add another navigation stack inside the content view to list all the saved colors. This will allow us to see every color stored in the database independent of their items. Let's try it out. As you can see, we are now listing all the items along with their associated colors. Additionally, we are able to query and list the colors separately, independent of their related items. You can also test the sample app in the simulator or on a physical device you own. You'll see that it remembers the items and their colors. That's it. Thank you for watching. Please don't forget to subscribe to our channel and like the video to support us.